Okay, it rained all morning until about daylight, and the temperatures have turned colder. It's dropped from the 40s down to the mid 30s. There's actually a forecast for snow, but I've got about a 2-hour window right now. So even though I missed trying to find a bird that was roosted this morning gobbling, I'm gonna go into one of my setups and just sit down and do some light calling. That's all I'm gonna do. I brought some wet weather gear with me, stuff like that. As you can see, I'm on National Forest, and I'm just gonna call. I'm probably gonna wait 30 minutes before I call again, because a lot of times I'll slip in real quiet looking for the bird. Now remember, on the elevations, I'm gonna call low and get my setup above where I called. So we're gonna go in here. This is opening morning. See if we can't get some birds. Sometimes when it does a lot of rain, and it rained, yesterday was Friday, it rained all day long and pretty much all night. So is that going to suppress the movement for today, or did it suppress it yesterday and it's going to ramp it up today? I guess we'll find out. I'm just going to slip along through the woods, just take my time. And it's already after daylight. It's kind of hard to come in here with camera gear when it's raining. But I got this 2-hour window here. We'll see if we can't make the best of it. We'll just get set up, do some light calling. Okay, I finally made it up here. It's about a 1.5 mile hike. You can see where we're at. You can remember, this is the location I videoed on a killer setup. I've already called several times, about 100 yards down on the bottom edge of this bench. I'm not gonna call again until about 30 minutes. I'm just gonna get in there, I'm gonna get set up, and I'm just gonna do the watch, wait, listen, be as still as I can. Hopefully the bird heard that. As cold as it is, if there's any hens that are on the nest now, I would think they'd be going back to their nest. They'll be leaving the tom soon. These birds, they've got really good memory. They heard that yelping that I did a few minutes ago. I'm hoping to get a bird to come in. So let's get set up. When I saw these birds come in, I was really shocked. I didn't anticipate 2 gobblers coming in, especially 2 that looked like they were mature birds, probably 2 years old. But as they came in, another problem developed. They split up. And the one to my upper left, I think he actually saw me as I started adjusting my shooting position, because the further they moved to the right, the more I needed to move. So I had to freeze, hold my position until he started walking again. Eventually, they got together again side by side and went behind a large tree. And when they did this, I made a major shift to my right so I could get my gun into position. And they were still walking. Just before all this had happened, it started to rain, and I hadn't got all my camera gear. And I said, well, I'm going to go ahead and take a chance and get aggressive. And when I did that, I actually made a cackle call with my mouth call, and they responded. So I knew they were there, so I turned one camera on. And that's why you got video of just the one camera. And then I took a chance and put the other camera on too. But they moved to my right, I got in position, and fortunately was able to make a shot. Can you believe that? Can you believe that? Knocked the camera down. It's cold out here. I mean, really cold. And I told you about those killing setups. If you're familiar with an area that you're hunting, get you a place to get set up. I shot that bird. I had to call to him to get him to stop. There's two birds. I didn't anticipate two birds coming in. And I almost shot the lead bird because I thought he saw me. So when they cut across, I did a couple yelps, got on the gobble, and I shot. I have my other camera. I hope I got all that, because there's no way I could adjust by myself. That just goes to show you, in areas that you're familiar with, make your little ground blind. And you can go from ground blind to ground blind, call. And what I did was I called and I waited 30 minutes. But what I did was, see this long bench here? I got to the very edge of that bench. That's almost 100 yards away. And I called and I waited. Nothing happened. About an hour later, some birds gobbled over to my right. So I said, might have a chance here. So I got up and I went down to the left side of this bench. Yelped. I come up the opposite side of the ridge, come back into my setup here, and sit down. It's like 30 minutes went by. It started to rain, so I put a glove over the top of my camera. It's like, well, maybe he was closer than what I thought. I thought I might have spooked him. I said, well, maybe I ruined that one. So I said, well, it's starting to sprinkle. I'm gonna get a little bit aggressive. So I did my mouth call. I'm using this. I got a new Woodhaven. I think it's the Wasp. It's got a real raspy sound. And I just started cut. And bang, they just jackhammered it. I mean, and what they did was they went to the lower edge. So I got them to go below me. So I had the elevation. I already had this camera on, so I had to do the start button. So I started that camera, turned this camera on, and I waited. They come the full length of this bench, all the way up to me. That was an awesome hunt. It rained all day yesterday, rained last night. I couldn't get in here this morning early because it's still raining because of the camera gear, so I waited till I got daylight. And once it stopped raining, I slipped in here. I didn't get in here till I got everything set up somewhere between 8:30 and 9. And here we are 10:25, opening day in the mountains. I'm about 4,000 feet up in elevation, and I got a nice, this is probably a 2-year-old bird on the ground. Now, in areas that you're not familiar with, obviously you're gonna go in, you hear a bird, you're gonna try to get set up best you can. But still remember a couple things. Go and find trees big enough that'll hide your silhouette or hide your human form. So try to stay in the shadows, try to get some thick brush, stump, or whatever, deadfalls. I'm absolutely pumped up. I'm gonna tell you something. This never gets old. That was awesome. I almost thought that I was gonna blow the whole thing. Because that one bird, they had enough distance, and one bird was going above the other bird, and the other bird was going low. And I thought the one bird saw me, and I just froze. And he saw movement, but I was blended in perfectly in my killer setup. And I killed Tom on opening day in absolutely cold temperatures. My hands are freezing. I don't know what else to say. Let's go down and look at our bird. He actually did the turkey flock because he got behind some trees, and I had to kind of shoot around a tree. The other bird flew off. That's awesome. That is awesome. And it's starting to rain. So I'm gonna pack all my stuff up. Well, let's get down there. Let's get down there and take a look at it. That 3.5-inch Magnum. Put it to him. He was actually right down. Look at that. That was that limb I told you I had to shoot aside. I shot around him, didn't I? He's actually down in here, and he's flopped. Oh, look at this. Whoo, baby. Yeah, that's probably a 2-year-old right there. Look at that beautiful bird. Look at those feathers on there. Perfect tail feathers. I mean, look at the color on this bird. Oh yeah. Let's take a look at his beard. Nice full beard. Look at that. That's probably 8-9 inch beard, maybe a little longer. We'll get the tape measure out. Let me go back up there and get my other camera, get some more video. But that was probably a 35 yard shot. I'm using a 3.5-inch Magnum shells. And I've practiced quite a bit this year. And really wasn't any doubt in the shot. Like I said, he was in between those little sapling trees, the small trees. And I shot through one of them, cut it in two. But that's awesome. So that's opening day. And I got in here absolutely cold, but I got in here in an area where I knew there was birds. So I'm in a familiar area. This is bird number 3 that I've actually killed on this bench. It's just a natural travel corridor, travel pattern. They like to cut across these benches. It's really easy, but I set this bird up. When he gobbled close, and I said, well, he's coming in. The second time he gobbled was when I walked all the way down to the end of this bench, and that got him to go below me, because if I'd have called where I was at, he may have came above me. Let's walk back up there and bring my bird back. Beautiful bird. Absolutely beautiful. Now look at this setup. Look how big that tree is, and I got those other trees around me. He didn't know I was there. Now that one bird did see me reposition my shotgun, and I had to treat him just like you would a deer. Just sit there and freeze. That was awesome. I'm like a little kid Ain't nothing like it, honey. Right in the middle of a patch of ramps. Look at this. Look at that tail feather. A lot of browns in it, gold. And like, once again, here's my little setup. I just piled up some brush here. But this is a normal travel pattern for these birds. And like I said a minute ago, this is bird number 3. I'm pumped up, I'm out of breath. Wonder where the other one went. Starting to rain. All right, guys, I'm gonna try to put a wrap on this. I gotta get my other camera out real quick. If you've watched any of the videos, and you notice this year, I didn't do a lot of scouting videos. Seems like I don't get many views on those. So hopefully this one will be different. So I did 2 scouting videos, but I was in here a lot more than that. And I've just been walking through quietly, coming in early in the morning, just trying to locate birds, listen for them to gobble. You know, if I know where the area's at, the location's at, I don't have to drop a pin, but if someplace new, I'll drop a pin. But I've been coming through here, and this is the second time I've had birds come through this area. But like I said before, I'm very familiar with this part of the national forest. And this morning in particular, bad weather, you can see it's starting to rain, got a little bit of rain on these feathers. This is a beautiful bird here. So I waited till daylight, got up and set up about somewhere between 8:30 and 9, because I was kind of playing the fact that it being cold, if there were some hens getting ready to get on the nest, they'd go sooner, and then they'd leave these toms by themselves. Sure enough, he gobbled. He was probably 200 or 300 yards away. Then he gobbled again close. I was like, man, he's coming in. So I hustled down to the bottom end of this bench, made a call, ran back up the other side of the ridge, and got back in my setup, my ground blind I've got set up here. And I had to get really aggressive because it started to rain. I was like, where is he at? Well, they actually went low. And I didn't know there were 2 birds. There was one subordinate with this bird. And they were lower, so they were just on the other side of that ridge. And I started cackling with my mouth call, and man, they gobbled. He responded and came in. This was an incredible hunt. Like I said, it's in the mid-30s right now. My hands are cold. They're calling for snow this afternoon. We had rain all day yesterday. But it just goes to show you, if you get in the woods and pay attention to what's going on, you don't have to call every 5 minutes. I called 30 minutes and I waited. Called 30 minutes and waited. And I got a little concerned because I thought maybe he was closer than what I had anticipated, and maybe he saw me get set back up when I made that call. That was my long distance call for him to come in down below me, because a lot of times in high elevations like this or steep ridges, they'll come above you. So I wanted to make sure I was above him, and it worked out. It couldn't have worked out any better. I mean, it worked out to perfection, and it's very seldom do hunts actually do that. I actually made the one call down here when I first came up. So that was one. He gobbled a long distance out. I was like, Then he gobbled again. Then I got up and went down and called, and then I sat there and called. So I only called 3 times, but the results speak for themselves. Opening day tom. If you want to kill birds, say, hey guys, just get out in the woods. To me, it's no different than deer hunting, because you got to know where the animals are at, and know where when you go deer hunting, you know where your tree stands are. You know where you want to put a tree stand. Same for turkey hunting. You know where you want to get set up. When you can do it on places that you're familiar with. Obviously, if you're going somewhere new, or you say, for instance, I wasn't in this area, I was in a different place, and I didn't have a little ground blind set up or a couple of trees or stumps picked out, then you're gonna have to find the biggest tree you can find, or stump or rock or whatever, deadfall, and get in that. But this is an outstanding hunt here. Let me show you the bird a little bit better. Just beautiful feathers. I mean, his fan is in perfect condition. A lot of times you don't get that in the woods. But I'm going to say, by his spurs, they're not near as long as the ones last year. I bet that bird last year was probably a 5-year-old bird. I'm gonna say this is a 2-year-old bird, but nice and healthy. Nice beard. Just, you couldn't ask for a better start to the season. I didn't know how it was going to go. Lost a few feathers there because of the rain. Sometimes you don't know how it's going to affect a goblin, but it turned out really good. So we're off with a bang. And that final call, when you pull the trigger, is your favorite one. So I hope you enjoyed this video. We're going to try to keep hunting here. Hopefully if we get tagged out, we may go to another state. That's our goal. So don't forget to like and subscribe. We'll see you next time.